Hello. So, why didn't they want to settle down? What was in the way of that happening? Someone felt like they were catering to someone's basic instincts and they don't understand why the person didn't want to settle down. Someone else felt like they were this person's fantasy. They even tried to be, and the person still didn't want to settle down. Another person even asked this other person if they'd settle down with them. And they tried to make everything go this person's way so that this person would say those cherished words, I do. And what happened? Why did things not end up going in that direction? So here's the scoop, guys. One person had been cheated on, and it hurt them so bad that their pride got in the way of them allowing that to happen. While another person, well, they thought that getting hitched, getting married would impede upon some of the things that they wanted to do, such as travel, for instance. While someone else, they just weren't nurturing enough. It was against their very nature. They hadn't even grown up with someone to show them what that spouse, that sex spouse, the sex that they are, they didn't have a proper, how do you put it, example. And that's why they were confused. They didn't want to go with it. While another person just felt like the road was so rocky that they just wouldn't be able to handle it. It was too much for them. They knew they weren't going to want to hang in there. And they were hearing too many different things and they were seeing too much. And they just didn't think that the relationship would be able to get through all of the hard times that were coming through. They knew that that was going to be an issue. Another person felt trapped, severely trapped, not so much by the person as by the circumstances that came with the person, their legal issues and whatnot. And someone else stepped back because they know that their person had the strong ability to communicate the truth about a scenario that they were involved in with the person. And they didn't want other people to see the truth. They knew that it would be detrimental to them because they were falling short in at least one of many different ways. And they had that experience to know that people would look at them and point fingers at them because they weren't putting in the effort reciprocally. They knew they were falling short and their emotions were controlling them, their thought processes were controlling them, and they were being fed, or rather listening to, the wrong information of what was in, and they wanted to go that in route. And someone else felt so guilty for being untrue that they were feeling like they wanted the other person to forgive them, and yet the other person reacted um, in a way of just being cruel towards them, and they just didn't feel the other person was going to look at them the same anyway. So they decided to let go of what was going on. And a lot of times people wonder, what happened? Why didn't things pan out? And hopefully this can give a little bit of clarity the moon is coming in, judgment is coming in. You know, someone was way too judgmental and way too emotional. And in fact, they were just immature. And so that immaturity came out in a big way. And it's really all for the best that you didn't walk down the aisle with this person. Someone listening knows what I'm talking about. In hindsight, you can look at it and see. Someone else had the Knight of Pentacles come in, so they were afraid they couldn't stand up to their responsibility. They didn't feel the other person was being patient enough, and there was just no rush for them. While I'm also getting that another person just felt the ability for them to put in, to chip in financially was going to be way more than they felt that they could handle. Could this person in fact not handle it? And could this other person not handle it? They believed that they couldn't handle it. Were they right in believing so? Well, the Eight of Swords came up. So they were feeling like they were isolated in bringing in the cheese. You know, they didn't feel the other person could even pull their weight. And so that was a big deal for one of these individuals. And that could very likely have been true. They felt like they were going to be pulling most of the weight, and they just weren't ready for that. And plus, the way they were raised, they didn't really feel that that was their job. Now, that's arguable with so many people having different mindsets about that issue, but I'm just going to throw that out there. That's just how they were feeling, and that's what's coming up in the spread specifically. So that may be eye-opening this time, and some people probably would have rather just believe something else, but you're here, so you wanted to know, and there you have it. The Chariot came up for someone else, and they were really just feeling opposites. Their willpower was leading them to believe that victory just did not rest in coming together like that. They had opposite forces that were at work within them. And so they were unable to come to the same conclusion as the other person. They were just torn between the single life and the married life. So hopefully that gives you a little more insight if you were wondering what happened with you and the person who you were with. I know that it's going to resonate with many of you, and you're going to have the answers that you were seeking as you move ahead, and you don't have to be concerned about just feeling rejected and not really understanding what all went into the whole decision or the whole lack thereof on the other person's part. As always, love and light.